What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 64 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast and our first on our new YouTube channel. My name is Dave, and I'm here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, say hello.
Hi. Can you stop being such an asshole to your wife?
I'm not being an asshole. I was just saying, please try to keep it down while we record. We live in a one-bedroom apartment. I was not being an asshole for anybody watching, just so people don't get the wrong impression. Matt, say hello.
Hello.
That's what Matt looks like. So now that we have our faces for you guys, I think we're ready to jump right into things. Christian's prepared with a trivia question. I think we've all done our research, so we're ready to just get right into it. Right, guys?
Right.
Yeah, energy. Recording in the afternoon, we're gonna have positive energy. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to episode 64 of the Bros Talking Soccer podcast. My name is Dave Knittel, and I am here with my brothers Christian and Matt to discuss stories from around the soccer world. Christian, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Dave. I've been celebrating the Eagles' Super Bowl win all week, just in case any of you missed that. I can't believe you did if you did, but whatever. And Liverpool won today, so that was pretty sweet. That was a good result. I mean, we're against the team in the relegation zone, but it's always good to just get another win. 2 points within United in second place. And I'd be a little bit better if you hadn't woken me from my slumber, from my mid-afternoon nap. But, you know, I'm just powering through another day.
Well, I apologize for that. You're a hero to everyone for powering on. Matt, how are you doing today?
Doing great, Dave. I'm also very excited about the Eagles win. Man City won 5-1 after I texted you guys how I don't think Aguero is that good anymore, and then he goes out and scores 4. So that was a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, that didn't age well.
Within like an hour of you saying?
Yeah, it was like the 20th minute. I was like, Aguero sucks, and then he ends up scoring 4.
Well, good. You inspired him, Matt. I hope you're happy.
Yep, it was all down to Matt.
Yeah.
Guys, I'm doing well. Thank you for asking. We just got done a little bit of shopping, and I've been recording a bunch of videos and things like that. So, I'm doing well. So things are great. Christian, do you have a trivia question for us this week?
I do have a trivia question this week. So, managers Andre Villas-Boas and Roberto Di Matteo were fired from Chelsea after playing against the same team. Do you guys know what team that was?
I do.
Oh, well, then never mind.
No, we can still do the question because listeners may not know. Matt, do you happen to know?
I have no idea.
Okay. All right. So with that, we'll give our guesses at the end. Listeners, you'll think over it as well. And, it'll just be a swell time. Before we get into our topics real quick, I wanted to give a couple quick plugs. So exciting news. We shared this last week, but we are partnered with StadiumScene.com. Stadium Scene is basically a travel guide for sports fans. They have reviews and recommendations for bars and restaurants and things to do around stadiums. So go check them out at StadiumScene.com. They also partner with content creators like us. So they have, I think, about 13 partners across all different sports. So go check them out, see all the different content and everything like that. Again, StadiumScene.com. Also wanted to give a couple quick plugs for some of my projects. I am the founder of Fan Futsal, which is a simplified fantasy soccer website. We have you select 5 clubs instead of 8 to 11 individual players. We simplify the scoring, make it really, really easy for people to play fantasy soccer. So if you haven't played or if you've played and not enjoyed fantasy soccer, come check out Fan Futsal. I think you might like it. Last thing I wanted to mention here is I have a new YouTube channel called The Soccer Tavern. We're making videos about the history, culture, and philosophy of the beautiful game. So we're going to start releasing history videos of Premier League clubs. So first up is going to be AFC Bournemouth, then Arsenal. Hope to get both those out in this upcoming week. So with that, guys, let's get into our topics for this week. First topic we wanted to talk about the Liverpool-Tottenham match from last weekend. It happened right after we recorded, and there were a couple of controversial incidents, but I wanted to talk about one in particular. The first Harry Kane penalty where he was offsides when the ball was played. Lovren tried to kick the ball, miskicked it, went to Harry Kane, and he ended up drawing a penalty. So there was controversial things being said. People were saying it wasn't offside. People were saying it was offsides. Christian, where do you stand on the offsides versus onside kind of issue here?
Offside is one of the most controversial things in all of refereeing, and I've taken multiple classes. I have to renew a license every year as a referee, and it almost seems like it changes every year, and there never is an actual correct answer. It is always up to the referee's perception. It seems like a ridiculous rule at times. Obviously not the rule in general, but the fact that it is so subjective to the person in charge of the match makes it very, very difficult. In my opinion, this is clearly offside. There was no possession of the ball by Lovren. And when a ball is passed, regardless of who it touches along the way, that ball, when it was passed, is intended and that makes the player who's receiving the ball offsides. That is just the rule of the game.
Yeah, and in I think it was 2016, 2017 season, the rules did change to say if a player makes a soccer play on the ball, then the opposition attack can no longer be considered offside. But that is such a interpretive move. So like if a guy goes for a header and it flicks off his head, I mean that's technically a soccer move. But
a dummy is a soccer move. You're saying if the player had just stepped over the ball, then he's not offside? No, that's ridiculous.
No, if the defending team makes a play on the ball. But yeah,
no, I'm saying that if you dummy the ball as a defender, it's a soccer move. That is a ridiculous rule. Like that is not a rule. That is a guideline that is up to any interpretation.
Okay, fair enough. Matt, what were your thoughts on this particular play in the offside law?
So the particular play, if I was reffing, I think I would have flagged him for offsides. But like you guys are saying, how it's like so up to the ref, and if he thought that was a soccer play or not, Lovren's touch. So I don't think Lovren had control to like make a soccer play. I think that was one motion, the ball to Kane. So I think he should have been flagged offsides.
Okay, fair enough. It's pretty simple. I think we're all in agreement here. I think for me, it's just frustrating that it was so open to interpretation. And there was this incident where the referee and linesman were talking and some of the TV mics picked up what they were saying. And the ref was saying, did he touch it? Because if he touched it, then Kane's not offsides. But if he didn't touch it, then he is onside, I guess is the right way to say it. So for me, I just didn't understand why that was okay. Even given the rule change, I still don't understand how you could possibly interpret that to be onside. But, I'm trying not to let my Liverpool bias come out here, but even without that bias, I just don't understand how it could possibly have been onside.
Yeah, and even to go with that, Kane, I mean, unrelated to the offside, Kane then dove or had very little contact with him when he went down. So that just drove me up a wall too. That whole penalty decision was all wrong. Everything about it was wrong.
Yeah, well, the penalty, it's not Kane's prerogative or it's not Kane's responsibility to avoid contact. So I don't fault Kane for.
I fault Kane for the way he reacted after being barely touched.
I don't think so, because if the roles were reversed and it was Firmino going down like that, I think you would have thought it was a penalty.
Firmino's a genius. Don't ever talk about him like that again.
So I think with that, your bias is coming out a little bit. But with the offside onside debate, I just think it's pretty clear cut. Matt, anything else you want to add?
No, I think you guys got it.
Okay, let's keep this thing. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep talking, but let's talk about Chelsea and Watford. So specifically, Watford beat Chelsea last weekend, and Richarlison, a young Brazilian striker, joined Watford this past offseason, and Willian, who is a midfielder attacker for Chelsea. Richarlison has said that Willian is kind of his mentor. He's showing him the ropes and everything like that. And Watford actually ended up beating Chelsea last week. So, guys, Matt, what's your take on kind of opposition players acting as mentors? Yeah, they share a nationality, but they were playing against each other. Like, do you have any sort of, odd vibes from that?
It's just like, I'm fine with it. Like, if they're from the same country, they probably know each other. I don't know where, like, Willian and Richarlison?
Richarlison. I call him Richarlison. I could be
okay.
wrong.
Richarlison. Okay. I don't know where they're from in Brazil. Like, I don't know if they're from like similar areas or came from similar like academies. But like, I don't have a problem with professional athletes being friends, and especially coming from the same country, trying to help them out. Like even in high school, like I'm just saying, like locally, like I knew the guys I played against in high school, and I was friends with them, and I don't think that ever affected. Like when I played Upper Dublin, like our rival high school, I played club with most of those guys. I don't think that ever affected how I played. Like I still wanted to win every game.
I feel like that would make you want to win even more, playing against people you know.
Yeah, correct. I want to win. I want to win every game. So.
Yeah, that's true.
True.
Who doesn't?
Yeah, Christian, your thoughts here on this relationship?
I have no problem with this at all. I think it's fine. They're all professional athletes. They're not, and although I do feel like players should be more responsible to take pride in their clubs, I don't have problems with individuals helping each other, especially when they're international teammates. And there's a young Brazilian player coming over to a guy who's had multiple years of experience in England, probably went through the first year slumps and whatever happens when you first come over. It's just nice to have someone you can relate to, and he clearly played very well in that game because they blew Chelsea out of the water. But it's almost refreshing that players are willing to do that.
Yeah. Well, was that the Bakayoko game? Or no? Was
Yeah.
that midweek when he got a red card within the first 30 minutes? So yeah, that was definitely helpful to Watford. But yeah, that's the point. And yeah, I feel the same way. I think it's slightly odd, but the way that the game is global and players are coming from all over, like you heard about, Weston McKennie and Christian Pulisic, I think live near each other in Germany, and they're friends, and some of the academy kids, because there's a lot of Americans kind of in that area. So I think it's only natural that you'll want to talk to people that you're. Christian, what are you doing?
Do you hear that? It's crazy.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's only natural that you'll want to talk to people from your own country because you can just relate to each other. So I don't have any problems with this either. Matt, anything else you wanted to add?
No.
Okay, cool. Christian, you?
Nope.
All right, cool. Quick first segment for us, everyone. You're going to hear a little bit of music, and we will talk to you with our second segment. Be right back. Matt, are you playing while we're recording or no? Because you keep looking away. I feel like you're not paying attention, but are you paying attention?
Yeah, I'm just looking at the TV.
Okay, all right. I didn't know because it seemed like you're not paying attention. And Christian, please stop with whatever the hell you're clicking. Is that what you're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Please stop with that.
Well, they're all gone. All the cracks are gone. So.
Okay. All right. So we're good moving forward. All right. I think. All right. Glad that we're doing this during the break. Can you guys hear background?
Yeah. No? Definitely.
I know. Thank you. I love you. Okay.
You're doing great. You look beautiful.
Yeah. You're just doing amazing, hon. All right. We're gonna jump back into things. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Did she ask if you could use the bathroom?
No, she said if she goes in the bathroom and makes noise, can we hear it? I guess we'll find out, right?
Oh my God, it's so loud, Kristen.
She can't hear you.
I'm kidding. I was joking.
Speak up.
Welcome back, everyone, to our second segment, jumping into things and crossing the Atlantic. We talked about this last week, but David Beckham has finally gotten a franchise in MLS down in Miami. Now, it's not officially done yet because they still need to secure land for the stadium in the Overtown neighborhood, and some of the fans from Overtown are really opposed to it. And they even, I think it was a pastor, passed out flyers to people in the local community saying they were going to be evicted if the stadium was built, and it was to get the people out to a meeting, and it turns out it was a complete lie. Like, nobody's being evicted. It was just complete ploy to get people out there. And on top of it, I think this guy was a local pastor. So, Christian, what was your take on this guy's sort of tactic to get people out and learn about what the stadium and possibly oppose it?
I really can't believe he took these measures. He even in the article I was reading that he said at the beginning of the meeting, hey, I just want you all to know you're not actually being evicted. This is about a soccer stadium. Like, you start the meeting like that, I feel like half the people would leave immediately. Like, are you kidding me? That is so messed up. And whatever he says from that point forward, I'd be like, I don't trust this guy worth shit. I am not believing a word this guy just said. Because that is ridiculous that you have people who, I don't really know the area, but if it's a low income, like struggling area, you're scaring people into thinking, oh my God, I'm losing my home. What am I going to do? That is really, really, really cold to do. And I understand they're trying to save their area, but there are other measures you can take to do this. And he crossed the line, especially for a pastor to do this. This is really over the top.
Yeah, it was kind of slimy. I just looked it up. He's a bishop, not a pastor. I don't know the difference.
I feel like that's worse because that's a higher up position.
Is it? Whoa, look at you. Did you take theology in school?
I'm just a genius
Yeah. Matt, what were
in
your thoughts on
all
it?
aspects of life.
Matt, what were your thoughts
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, I think it's I don't get why. Like, I feel like every time someone's trying to build something, like there's just a group just not trying to have it happen. Like, even like by us, like with you know how we were putting in the soccer fields behind like St. Helena's, like that thing was like protested forever. I feel like it always ends up being built. It's just from
Yeah,
my
it's just
experience.
slowing it down.
Well, I don't know if it always
Yeah.
ends up being built.
Oh,
Okay.
always.
Yeah. That
Always.
might be a
100%.
generalization.
Yeah. But just like hearing like the priest like say like you're all getting evicted. It's like The Office when Michael Scott, he has to say 911 for all his texts for people to respond. It's like, because if I just say a normal text, you're not going to respond. So yeah, so I guess he's got that from the Michael Scott school of thought.
Yeah,
I mean,
he's
it worked.
kind of like the boy who cried wolf, though, because at a certain point, I mean, people aren't going to trust you. I mean, Christian brings up a great point. The first thing the guy said when the people showed up, you're not being evicted. That was just a tactic to get you out here. My immediate thought is, who the hell is this guy? Like, I'm not going to trust anything you say from this point forward. So I get what he's trying to do. I get that he's opposed to the stadium and he's trying to get people out to a public forum. We just started watching Parks and Rec, and so you get some funny shots of people in public forums. But I get what he's trying to do, but I just don't like that tactic in any way. So, Christian, anything else you want to add about the bishop?
I just really think that is a despicable thing to do, and I understand he's trying to take drastic measures in his own words. That's what he said, to help the community, but you're almost causing people emotional harm and fear at that point, and that's crossing lines.
Okay, fair enough. Matt, anything else you want to add?
No.
Okay, all right. Let's talk about the U.S. soccer election. I got on my U.S. soccer scarf because Carlos Cordero was just elected USSF president. Kind of a little bit surprising. So I think from a lot of people, he was the second favorite behind Kathy Carter, but he won the election yesterday. After the first round of voting, I believe he was neck and neck with Kathy Carter, and then Winalda, and then Kyle Martino. And so really none of the candidates, none of the incumbent, or not incumbent, but none of the challenging candidates really made any dent. It was really between Kathy Carter and Carlos Cordero. Matt, did you follow the election at all? What do you think about Cordero becoming president? Any thoughts there?
I think you should start with this one.
Okay. So Cordero was the vice president of USSF. He broke rank and announced his candidacy before Sunil Gulati actually dropped out. So he was kind of challenging the status quo from that perspective. So he wasn't just like, Kathy Carter, who seemed to be like just more of Sunil Gulati. So from that perspective, it was interesting. Carlos Cordero didn't talk to the media really much at all, didn't really have a ton of public sort of facing actions. He was mainly just talking with the voters because the USSF election, it's not a public vote. It's between people who are members of USSF and all of that. So I think the way he went about things, it was more just he was kind of unknown to the more general public, so like us, but apparently, he did enough with the voters. So that's kind of my thought there. Christian, any thoughts on Cordero?
I just did a very little amount of research. I honestly wasn't really following that closely, and I apologize to all our viewers who were so hopeful to hear all of my insight on this wonderful topic. But I just think that Carter seemed to be more of a handpicked heir almost to Galati, and I think we needed more of a drastic change. So I'm glad she didn't end up winning, but I think this is going to be a little bit more of the same still. It's still someone in the soccer politic world. I know he's going to be a little bit different. I like the fact that he's a risk taker and challenging against the status quo over there and kind of the flow that you're supposed to follow. But I still think we're going to need more of a drastic change. I still think I agree with you that Kyle Martino would have been a really interesting choice to see what he could have brought, especially as a former player and being involved in all the media pundits. He's got a lot of knowledge about the game, but in the long run, it's maybe okay for the next couple of years. I don't see this being a long-term solution, though.
No, and has been vice president for a while, so he knows the organization very well. But when he became vice president 10 years ago, he has no experience really in the soccer world. So I think from his perspective, he viewed that as a plus. And what he is going to do is sort of establish a technical sort of soccer focused side. And he's going to focus more on business, which if he follows through with that, I might be okay with. So it's all going to depend on how he actually executes and who he puts into place to run the technical side. But if he follows through on those promises, actually might be okay with that. Matt, anything you have to add based on anything we've said?
So what does like the USSF president, like what is their power? Like what is their, domain of what they rule?
It's honestly really broad, and there's not really specific things. So they're in charge of the United States Soccer Federation. So there's business aspects of that. There's member organizations. There's professional leagues. So it's really all encompassing, and you can shape and mold that to whatever you want. I mean, it's similar to a CEO where you can take whatever responsibilities you want, right?
Do they determine who gets beheaded?
Yes.
Okay, that's pretty cool.
Matt, anything else to add? Now that you know that?
No.
No, you just.
I mean, that's just like, what is the? What's the difference between like one and or like, is there gonna be drastic changes if like from one president to the next? Like how like when an election, presidential election for like a country, it's not usually like drastic changes like you guys are talking about.
Yeah, but they're
Jurassic, like.
Yeah, no, there could be. So there could be. I mean, theoretically, there could be. And I mean, some people would argue that there have been drastic changes with a president. I mean, hopefully what you do is you have checks and balances in place that people can't get out of hand. But, there are things that people in power can do to change the way things have been going. And so, there's a potential for there to be drastic change. I don't think there will be because Cordero has been in the organization for a while. He's got a firm grasp on the business, and soccer as a business in this country has been going fairly well. So I don't think you'll see a drastic change, but there's a potential for it.
Yeah.
Okay. Matt, I love that you ask questions it seems like you want to learn more so you can make a point, but really you just ask the question and you're just like, okay.
Well, no, I'm just thinking. Like, I gotta think to myself. Just let this sit for a little. I gotta sit with my thoughts.
Next podcast will be full of knowledge for this.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So let's talk about our last topic in this second segment. Sticking on kind of U.S. soccer theme, Jeff Cameron, who's been in the news a little bit recently, came out with an article in the Players Tribune. The Players Tribune I think it's an online publication. I don't know if they put anything in print, but it's athletes kind of giving their thoughts and perspectives. And a lot of times it's somewhat not controversial, but behind the scenes look. And so Cameron is somebody who's very outspoken. We talked about his New York Times article last week, but in this particular article, it seemed to focus more on U.S. soccer isn't doing enough to support and encourage U.S. soccer and MLS aren't doing enough to support and encourage young players moving overseas and really pushing and challenging themselves. It's everybody's way too comfortable. So, Matt, do you have thoughts on this? Do you want to jump in third? Okay, so Matt, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so I agree. Growing up, like just like watching soccer, like there is a clear difference between the European players, like the American players that play in Europe, and then the American players. Like there's always just been such a divide. It's like I think Cameron described it as us and them, and there's just like such a big. It's not like Brazil. They have players playing all around the world, but they still have a similar style of play. Like Brazilians play a similar style way, and I think it's just so strange that Americans, like there's just this huge disconnect from people that go abroad versus people that stay domestic.
Okay, Christian, your thoughts? Oh,
did you have more to say, Matt?
Nah.
Sounded like
yeah.
you did.
I'll wait.
We'd love to hear it.
I'll wait.
Okay.
My favorite quote from the article is, "We need 50 more Pulisic's playing in the Bundesliga and Serie A, even the Eredivisie, even if some of them really struggle." That's a really good point. I think that they should be challenging and training at the highest level. Right now, there's a combination of we need more of our youth playing in our own domestic league and building up the league and making a name for themselves there, and going to Europe and playing in the academies, getting their names built through some of the bigger teams in Europe. That would be awesome to see American players making a name for themselves on the world stage, which is what European soccer is right now. I think that's an awesome point. Even if they fail, I think it's worth a shot because you can produce players like Pulisic. Yeah, he was made in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Hey, but I think that he wouldn't be what he is today. And that's the point Cameron was making. He wouldn't be the player he is if he had not gone and trained with Dortmund. I agree completely. He has the physical tools. That was always going to be there. But it just pushes you that extra little bit technically and tactically because we just don't have what it takes right now for our youth teams and even for our top teams to compete at that level.
I agree with what you guys are saying, but I think this is not a one-size-fits-all because every single situation and every person is different. So Landon Donovan's a perfect example. He is somebody who's a homebody and he performs better when he is more comfortable. And someone like Jordan Morris may be that way as well. And then others, can handle the struggle and can handle the challenge like Pulisic and, McKennie and some of these other youth players. So I don't think it is a one-size-fits-all, but I think what is most important is to keep pushing yourself and keep progressing. So you can't just settle into a role in MLS. So if you get into MLS, you need to push. You need to become the best center midfielder. You need to become the best striker in MLS and kind of force that move overseas. And I think MLS needs to do a much better job of supporting players, which is what Cameron was saying in fairness. But he just said, it needs to be more of this. It's not that every single player needs to move over to Europe as quickly as possible. It's that you need to keep progressing. And eventually, if you want to reach the highest levels are in Europe and you need to end up over there. So I agree with what he's saying, but I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all. Everybody who turns 16 or 18 needs to immediately go to Europe. Matt, any other thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with you that I don't think it's not like Europe's necessarily like you have to go to Europe to develop, but I just want to see like more of like a US style of play, like starting from youth. So it's just like more like so players can go all around the world and then come to the national team and still feel comfortable.
In fairness, I think we're seeing that to a certain extent. I mean, we have talented, physically gifted players, and that's traits that are commendable, and that's why they're functioning so well in the Bundesliga. So I like that. So I think that there are elements of that, and it just needs to continue to be developed. Christian, other thoughts?
I also agree with you that it's not one size fits all, and the point that he is making, and I kind of skipped over that and you brought it up, is that U.S. soccer just hasn't been supportive enough when that time comes. And not every player should be over there. But his point is 50 players should be in those leagues. He's not saying 200 players should be in each of those leagues. I think that it would be good for us to just get different experience from different leagues, from different youth academies, from different just training sessions, and being at clubs from different countries. Yeah, it might cause a rift in maybe style of play between different players, but at least it brings in different ideas, and you can use a bunch of different tactics in that sense to create a more balanced team.
Absolutely. And to that point that we've been harping on, it should be a source of pride for a team to sell a player to Europe and have him go on. Cameron brought up in the article that FC Dallas should be championing Kellen Acosta to go overseas. They should be proud. Hey, we sold Kellen Acosta to a Bundesliga team and he, won a cup or he got them to the Champions League. Like that should be a source of pride. And that's the way it's seen all over the world, except for it seems like in America where it's almost seen as a loss for MLS to lose a player. And it just shouldn't be that way. I think Atlanta is doing stuff to change that. And I think you're going to see more of with the MLS roster rule changes and with teams receiving all of transfer fees coming up, that type of stuff. I think you'll see more teams selling players into the world market. So I'm looking forward to that.
I don't really agree with that last point you made in the fact that teams feel pride when they sell someone who ends up winning a trophy somewhere else. I feel like a lot of teams don't like that.
Like who?
Liverpool selling Sterling. You think that they're happy that happens?
No. So I'm not talking about Liverpool and Sterling. I'm talking about feeder leagues. I mean, we need to know our place in the world market. And so right now we're nowhere close to Europe. But if a player in South America is sold their club is happy if that player goes on to success and makes more money and gets sold again, because ultimately those fees flow back to them. So I'm talking about that. I'm not talking about Barcelona selling to PSG or, Liverpool selling to Man City, because that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is feeder leagues. So if a player moves from the Eredivisie, Ajax, to Tottenham, Davinson Sanchez, Ajax is going to be happy if he does well, because then they can sell more players. It gives them credibility to sell more players and make more money. That's what I'm talking about.
But even teams like, let's say, Real Sociedad sells to Madrid, Ilya Aramendi, this was an example. You think that they're happy that he's winning trophies somewhere else?
You're talking about
instead
in
of
the league.
Building. Yeah.
If they sold Ilya Mendy, or whatever the heck the guy's name is, over to Liverpool, right? So say they sold him for 20 million. Then the next Ilya Mendy that they develop, they can sell for 40 million because he went on and won them a trophy. That's what I'm talking about.
Who are you talking about?
Ilya Mendy?
Ilya Aramendi.
Ilya Aramendi. If they sell another Ilya Aramendi, the next time he comes around, or a player similar to him, they have established themselves and lent credibility to their skills so they can charge more for him. I think that there is an element of that. At the end of the day, this is all a business.
Yeah. Maybe from a club standpoint. I guess I'm thinking from a fan standpoint where you don't want to see that.
You're always thinking from a fan standpoint.
Well, yeah, because the fans are the best. And that's the only standpoint.
Matt, anything else you want to add here?
No, I think you guys got it.
All right. You're going to hear a little bit more music, and then we will talk to you in our third segment. Talk to you soon. Guys, I'm just killing it with the Wee Wills this week.
Wee Woo! Wee Woo!
I am just killing it.
I like
What's that? What's that? Okay. Okay. Are we good to keep it rolling?
Yeah, I thought that little section was good.
Yeah, that was good. I agree. Matt, you good? You good? You engaged? As you just lounge?
Who, me?
Yes, your name is Matthew.
Yes, you.
Couldn't be.
Did you say me?
Then who?
Welcome back, everyone, to our third and final segment. Going south of the border here and talking about Liga MX in Mexico, they are considering suspending promotion and relegation from their top flight for 4 years starting in 2019. It is seen as a way to stabilize the clubs, and then the plan is to then reinstitute it. But Matt, what are your thoughts here on, Liga MX possibly doing away with ProRel?
So first, I didn't realize at first that they only relegate and promote one team a year. So after I read that, I can kind of see it wouldn't be, I guess, too big of an impact over a 4-year stretch. So is it just just to get the clubs financially get the league running, or is it certain clubs that aren't performing, or
I think it's more of a financial thing. So yeah, I think it's more of a financial thing.
Okay, yeah. So I think 4 years is a good amount of time. It's not going to ruin clubs, keeping them down in the second tier, and I think it's really going to make the other clubs, perform better to make sure they don't get relegated over the next, 2019 they proposed, so over the next year. So I think it could make the Liga MX pretty interesting this year, very more a lot more competitive, especially at the bottom. And then, I think it would be good to, just for a 4-year stretch. I think that's a good amount of time.
So you think it's all right?
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Okay, Christian, your thoughts here?
I think it's a little bit scary for a league that has been doing ProRel in their entire existence, at least from what I know. I don't know did you know if they had anything else in the beginning?
So I don't want to speak incorrectly, but I feel like it's a fairly newer league, in the world market.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's only been around since the 70s. I could be wrong about that, but I feel like it's a relatively newer league. And I don't know how long they've been doing ProRel.
Yeah, okay. So at least since I've been following it, at least paying attention to what's going on, they've always had ProRel. So this is a very risky thing that a lot of those lower clubs may be in danger of losing a lot of that financial security that comes with being in the top division. I know that it can be risky, and this is kind of to build that, is try and help these teams become more stable before they introduce ProRel back again. But it just seems like a risk, and I think it's going to detract from the overall quality of the league, especially a lot of those bottom clubs or the top clubs in the second division. Everyone's kind of just going to coast, and they're not going to go all in because you're not fighting for anything at that point. Yeah, you might get a trophy, or yeah, you'll get financial compensation for finishing in different positions in the table. But at the end of the year, you're going to be exactly where you were, similar to MLS.
Potentially. So the thing in all of this that's different is that players can still move, right? Players can still be sold. So if a player performs well, they can be sold to the first division, they can be sold overseas. So players are still going to be incentivized to perform well. Even if they're in the second division, there's no hope of pro rel. On top of that, everybody wants to focus on the stories of rise from the fourth division up to the, first division, and, they've made a ton of money, expanded the stadium and all of that. But there are huge financial costs that go along with that. And if you're relegated during any of that time, it can be a steep and very, very quick fall back down to the fourth division, bankruptcy, and possibly even lower. So I think what they're trying to do here is stabilize clubs in the second division. You can't get promoted, so you can't overspend, in order to compete with other divisions to try to make it into the first division. Just get your house in order, get the infrastructure set up, and then once everybody is stabilized, then they institute pro rel back again. I like this, and this is why, taking this and kind of transferring it over to American soccer, we can't support pro rel in this country yet. It's just the reality of the situation. Only a handful of markets could actually support it. And what we need to do is keep building that foundation layer, keep building the NPSL, keep building the NISL, and NISA, keep building the NISA and USL D3, and keep building those lower rungs, because only then can you actually build a pyramid. The pyramid's strong because the base is strongest. And so without a strong base, which we don't have here, and it seems like Mexico doesn't have, you can't actually have pro rel that actually works out. So those are my thoughts there. Matt, anything else you want to add?
Nah, I think you covered it with all the pro rel.
Okay. Christian, thoughts?
You like that Stupa base?
Oh, man.
I think, you're right. It has to start from the bottom, and the lower down rungs have to be financially, and just infrastructure has to be stable. Everything about the club has to be ready to go to handle ups and downs of the league. And if you think about it from that perspective, we do have to start at the very bottom. MLS, they are, all those clubs, I would say, are ready to handle it. But the problem is the clubs below them are not. And until that is ready to be built up, why is your face like that?
Because I don't know if they are ready to handle it. What I'm saying is they're not ready to handle it, because if they get relegated, they're not ready to handle life in a second division, because our second division can't support it financially. Can't support an MLS stadium cost, and then, no media rights deals coming in from an MLS level. They can't support relegation.
Okay. Well,
That's it. Yeah, that's more what I'm saying. So I don't know. I know we've kind of taken this and morphed it into MLS and American soccer talk, but I don't think this is terrible for Liga MX to be considering, and to see how it works out, and see if they can stabilize things and maybe reinstitute it in the future. So I'll be curious to see how this all plays out. And it's not 100% fact, just to make that clear to listeners. They are going to vote on it, and it may or may not come to fruition. So we will see.
And the article said there's a bunch of changes being proposed. What were the other ones? Do you know? I
do not know. I just seem to focus and grasp on the pro rel one, because that seemed to catch the eye.
Okay. The other the article just made it seem like there's a bunch of absurd, ridiculously changing rule proposals.
Yeah, so I don't know the answer to that, and maybe this is just a ridiculous rule that won't actually be implemented, but I still think the discussion that we had is still valid. So
yeah, okay.
Let's talk about the last topic we wanted to mention here. And speaking of lower division soccer in the United States, the Las Vegas Lights, who are a new USL franchise launching, they are going to offer $100 worth of chips to any of the home team players that played in a 3-goal home victory as sort of an incentive. I know the union offer free haircuts to all the fans, or $10 off a haircut to fans if the home team scores 3 goals and wins, because they have a deal with Supercuts. So their promotion is to offer $100 worth of chips to the casino, to all the players on the home squad who actually played in the match. And if they score 3 goals and win. Christian, what are your thoughts on this promotion?
This doesn't seem right to me ethically. It's just something is off about this gambling wise. It's encouraging, and I know gambling is legal there, and it's becoming legal in a lot more places, but it just something rubs me the wrong way. As we learned last week, everything rubbed us the wrong way. That it just doesn't feel as though this is right, and it's not supporting the fans or really the club as a whole. It's supporting the players, and yeah, it incentivizes the players to play the best that they can, which in turn does encourage the fans to turn out and hope that they do score as many goals as possible. But it really is only incentivizing the players at this point, and it's almost like a bonus structure that it's in their contracts that says, okay, if you and I know you see this a lot in European contracts, and I'm sure it's in MLS, but I don't really see the contracts as often. That if you score 10 goals like in a season, you get this amount of money, or if you score in the game, you get this much. Yeah, it's a bonus structure, and I don't see anything really wrong with it, but something about it just doesn't feel right.
Yeah, so it's not like this is the only promotion, so I'm sure they're going to still run stuff for fans, and this is just a straight bonus structure. But Matt, your thoughts here?
I think it's awesome. I mean, you should get rewarded for, I guess, entertainment, and if you're scoring 3 goals and winning, you're entertaining the crowd. That means the fans are engaged, and then you go back into the city, spend some money, get the economy flowing. It's a great idea. Everyone wins.
Very good. Yeah, you're an econ major.
Yeah, my only concern with this specifically is that gambling becomes a very addictive game for a lot of people, and it could lead to more problems down the road, especially for players who kind of are just willy-nilly just going into a casino and like, hey, I have all this money already, and now they're just going to throw it all away, risking it, and people become addicted, especially competitive people like professional athletes. You never know what could happen.
Yeah, they do a lot of times have addictive personalities, but they're adults. Like, they can make their own decisions. And willy-nilly was the 1950s.
Yeah, it's like $100 too. It's not like they're giving them it's not like it's high roller betting right here. It's
but any losing for a lot of these players hurts them personally, and they're like, oh, I have to get back in and I have to win this. This is ridiculous. I know a lot of people who have that issue.
No, that's actually a really good point. And I mean, yeah, athletes tend to be very competitive, and they tend to, generally speaking, they can be more predisposed to sort of gambling addictions and things like that because of the losing aspect, and you're set up to lose. Now with this, they can't use the funds obviously to like gamble on any sports, or at very least not soccer. So there is at least, they're staying away from all of that. But you're Christian, that you bring up a really good point that these people are competitive and it may lead to issues. So I guess we'll see. But that's a really interesting sort of viewpoint that I hadn't really considered. Matt, you're smiling. Your thoughts?
I think you know what you're getting yourself into when you go to the Las Vegas Lights.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Guys, anything else to mention on this topic or any others? Matt?
Nah.
Christian?
Nah.
I do not believe so this week. It was cool to see the Newcastle versus United game was really good today, if anyone caught that. Yeah. Thought it was really, really impressive debut for the new Newcastle goalie, who I can't remember his name right now. He was very, very good, and they were comparing him to De Gea, which I thought was a little preemptive. But also the Spurs-Tottenham game yesterday, you really saw the discrepancy between how much better Tottenham are right now than Arsenal.
Absolutely. Arsenal, better attack than Liverpool, right, Matt?
Yes.
Matt? Yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
I still agree.
That? Okay. I don't know how you could...
You're like, say like
they
one
played
game
one game against Everton, and
They've
you were
played
ready to
27 games each.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So a couple other topics I just wanted to throw out. We'll tweet these out. Did you guys see the referee who ate the candy in the Bundesliga match?
Hysterical.
Yeah. So we'll tweet that out. You guys can check that out.
Was that Nigel De Jong he was looking at?
It looked like Nigel De Jong. I didn't think he was still playing, or I thought he was.
That's still playing either.
But yeah, okay. I thought the same thing. Listeners, you can judge for yourself and let us know if you think that's Nigel De Jong or not. We'll also tweet out 442 put out the worst misses in honor of Raheem Sterling's miss last week. So that's always fun to check out. And then the last thing I wanted to mention, I heard it on a couple different podcasts recently. Over in England, they have this thing called the non-league mystery tours, where you show up, you pay, I think, 30 or 40 or maybe 50 pounds. You show up to the London Eye, which is that Ferris wheel in London, and you get a beer, you get food, and you get a ticket to some match, but you don't know where you're going. And it's a non-league match for the day, and they take you there. You have like a good time, and I don't know. I found it really, really interesting. Christian, does that sound like something that would be cool?
It sounds something. Sounds something. I think it sounds like a really, really fun idea. I think it would be really cool, especially since in England teams are really close by and there's so many different levels you could be experiencing. I think it's really cool. And I was reading about how they go to mostly lower level teams. So
non-league.
In the championship. Wait, do they go all the way down?
It's called non-league tours, mystery tours. So
wow.
yeah, I think they go all the way down.
I thought I read that. Really? Okay. I was reading about it, and I thought they said that they only go to either relegation battles or promotion battles, which it still happened in those lower leagues. So it would be interesting to see regardless. But they're high entertainment value because they're fighting for something at that time, and that would be awesome to be a part of, regardless of if it's in the league or not. Those are still talented players that you're getting to watch for free, and it's always something different.
Well, it's not free. You have to pay for it.
Well, okay, but I understand. I didn't mean free. I meant it's still
you
a
said
fun
free.
experience. I did say free.
Yeah,
I didn't mean to say free, but I said free. Okay.
Could be misleading. Matt, your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's awesome. How they pick like something that like we could say clashes. So I think it's awesome they're doing like relegations and promotion games, title race games. And yeah, I think it's awesome. They said everyone's home by 9. You just kind of go by just like a day's worth of mystery soccer.
It's a fun day out. So I'm almost jealous of it. I wish we could do something like that in America, but everything is just way too spread out. So it'd be really cool to do at some point in the future. Christian, you want to recap our trivia question and we will give our guesses?
Yeah, the trivia question this week is in relation to former Chelsea managers Andre Villas-Boas and Roberto Di Matteo. They both lost a game that ended up being their downfall and got them sacked the next day. Do you guys know what team they lost to?
Matt, do you want to give your guess?
Cool.
No, it is West Bromwich Albion.
Which they play tomorrow with Conte on the rocks.
Yes. So with that, listeners, that is the end of the podcast for this week. Thank you for tuning in and listening to us. If you want to check out any of the stories we discussed here, they will be in the show notes. We'll also tweet them out from our Twitter handle, which is @BTSoccerPod. We have a website now, everyone, brostalkingsoccerpodcast.com. You can read about us, check out past episodes and more. Definitely go check that out. Also, we just launched a new YouTube channel, so Bros Talking Soccer on YouTube. So go check that out. Subscribe to us so you can watch us record this thing live, because we record this thing live and you can interact with us, say what's up and all of that. Lastly, we are trying really hard to grow this podcast. We've been doing it for almost a year and a half at this point. So we'd love to hear from you on things we can do better, anything you like, anything we don't like, or things you want to learn more about, if you have suggestions and all of that. So please reach out to us. You can email us at bros.talking.soccer@gmail.com. or send us a tweet, like I said, @BTSoccerPod. So hope to hear from you soon. And with that, Christian and Matt, thank you guys for being here, and talk to you soon. Bye. What are you guys saying?
Did anyone say anything?
Christian, you were rubbing like right during.
I was literally sitting here.
We need to get you a mic. It's cheap. Like, can you just go to Best Buy? It's like it's like $20. Can you please just do that?
No.
All right, I may just send you.
I don't have a computer to use to do it.
Oh my god! How do you?
So I'm not paying for a computer to do this.
You don't have a computer.
Yeah, we gotta get you a mic. I can't believe you don't have a computer, but we gotta get you.
I have a computer, but it's got something stuck in it, and they can't fix it. So
get a new computer.
I don't need a computer. I have an iPad, and I have a work computer.
Okay. I got to figure out how to get you a mic for your iPhone or iPad. All right, guys. Anybody still watching on YouTube? Thank you for
probably get wireless headphones. It would probably work.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. Do they have a mic in them?
Maybe.
I'm sure they do.
Okay. Yeah, like the ones you got me have a mic.
The ones I got you have a mic. Oh, okay, cool. The Beats ones. All right, guys. Anybody still watching on YouTube, thank you for being here. We will be back next Sunday. Thanks. We'll talk to you soon. See you. Stop broadcast. Bye.